Hatch was once home to the F1 Grand Prix, where legends such as James Hunt took famous victories. But while the F1 giants of today do race around Silverstone, the Mazda Racing MX3 Cup made their own passage in history here at Brands Hatch in Kent. It's a circuit championship leader Chrissy Palmer holds close to his heart, having taken victory in the Formula Ford Festival 3 years ago. But Palmer's purple patch seems to have faded, as he's not taken any victories since Anglesey, which was 6 races ago. Instead, the wins have been shared between the other 2 protagonists in the Mazda Cup. Luke Herbert dominating the 3 races at Cadwell Park, and Jordan Stilp fighting for the triple at Castle Combe, with race 3 last time out providing the most excitement.
Jordan Stilp heads up towards the start and finishing line. Poor old Chris Platt being forced onto the grass there by Simon Goddard, and Will Chappell just behind is going to benefit from that because they were both off the throttle as the car bounced across the grass. Now into the final turn. Surely now will receive the checkered flag. Jordan Stilp wins by a country mile.
Well, here at Brands Hatch, the circuit is definitely going to provide the same thrilling action that we're used to seeing from the Mazdas. So let's see the track from on board the car.
And our taxi driver this time is Paul Sheard on the first lap of one of his races. As you can see, yet another disastrous weekend in terms of the weather, and this small Brands Hatch Indy circuit very difficult in wet conditions. Through the first turn then, Paddock Hill Bend, get the apex, but it's off camber and pushing you constantly to that gravel trap on the left-hand side. The car will float across to there. Hopefully you'll get the grip as it bottoms out. Now towards Druids. Lots of grip on the inside during the dry conditions, but in the wet, you want to stay on the outside, let the car run over the curb just a little bit in dry, and now we're heading back downhill towards Graham Hill. A little kink, and that always pushes you close to the grass, and you really want to be. Hook up the apex, let the car run over the curb on the exit as well, and now heading down the back straight. You've got the paddock to your right-hand side there, then Surtees, very, very fast in dry conditions, running all that curb on the left. It's all about setting yourself up perfectly for clearways, the last corner of the lap. Break in a straight line, hook the apex, and then get the power down. The circuit again drops away from you, pushes you towards the gravel trap, but keep the car nicely settled. You should be then on a good line towards the start and finishing line, which is here. And that is a lap at Brands Hatch.
Well, pole position went to Jordan Stilp today. Let's see what he has to say about qualifying.
It was a brilliant morning. We forecasted rain, so yeah, really fast in the dry. Testing we were good all day yesterday. Me and Luke were we're doing exact same times all day. I think I broke a timing this morning, just a few tenths faster. So yeah, hopefully the next race will be brilliant.
Race 1 is upon us, so I'm going to hand you straight over to Ben.
Thank you very much, Nat. Here is the grid for the first race of the weekend for the Mark 3s then. Jordan Stilp on pole position, just ahead of Luke Herbert by 2 tenths. Chrissy Palmer and Adam Gore almost on exactly the same time. Then a bit of a gap to Paul Sheard. Clint Bardwell back in the championship for this weekend. Goddard, Ingram, Jonathan Blake driving in 9th position. And let's see who gets the best of the start. 2 blue cars on the front row of the grid. Stilp, not a good start. Luke Herbert's got the traction. Chrissy Palmer's going to come round the outside of him as well. And Jordan Stilp has dropped from 1st position to at least 3rd, although he dives down the inside of Chrissy Palmer at Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Has that worked? Everyone seems to have got safely through as they come up to Druids. Let's see who it is. It's Luke Herbert ahead of Chrissy Palmer. Jordan Stilp down to 3rd position. Then it's Adam Gore, I think, in the 4th position car. And Stilp already trying to make amends for that poor start, looking to the inside of Chrissy Palmer, who gets a little bit of a slide on. Interesting to note that these are track day tyres they're running on, the Kumo track day tyre, and they do require a little bit of temperature to really work well, especially in these wet conditions. Herbert then leads the race. Chrissy Palmer just behind Jordan Stilp. Then Adam Gore, and Clint Bardwell and Paul Sheard going side by side there through clearways. A nice healthy grid of Mark 3s this weekend at Brands Hatch. Over the line for the first time, and it's Luke Herbert ahead of Chrissy Palmer, ahead of Jordan Stilp. Now, Jordan Stilp was fastest in qualifying by 2 tenths over Herbert, Palmer and Gore. Can he make that sort of performance work for him in this race? He'll have to do some overtaking, but certainly if he's got that speed We've got a 15-minute race to contend with. I reckon over that period of time he can get back into contention. Not so much the slipstreaming circuit, this Brands Hatch Indy circuit. So much more to do in terms of getting the right lines, especially in wet conditions. And as you can see, the 4 experts of the MK3 Cup have already made a slight getaway. Herbert, Palmer, Stilp and Adam Gore, especially good this weekend, struggled to work his MK3 as efficiently as he's done in his Mk1 car. But as you can see, latched onto the back of Jordan Stilp. Running in the same team, Gore and Stilp, for Rob Boston. Boston not racing in the championship this year, instead concentrating on making sure he's got some really good cars. And at the moment, his 2 machines are lying in 3rd and 4th position. Now they are MX150Rs, and they are making up just the rear of the grid here at Brands Hatch this weekend. It's a new concept for the Mazda Racing Series, and actually very cheap to make. It's a Mk1 engine and running gear, and you just literally drop that onto this bespoke chassis. It costs you £2,500 and a very lightweight racing machine, taking all the benefits of the Mazda engine and drivetrain, but also a much lighter machine. So they are, in theory, in comparisonly as fast as these Mk3 cars. But as we saw, well, I'm getting into a little bit of trouble. Plenty of action further down the field. There's the Borum Motorsport number 40 machine, and that is Raymond Worley. As, oh dear, the 78 car of Kevin Dengate goes into the wall, and he was in the gravel in the Mk1 race. So plenty of squabbling going on, and actually some of these drivers are relative rookies to racing, so we'll see them causing a little bit of mayhem, I think, throughout the race. Stuart Much there already being lapped after, 4 laps. But at the front of the field, no change so far. Luke Herbert leads just ahead of Chrissy Palmer, having to dip a wheel over the white line there just to find a bit more grip. You see this new tarmac for 2012 around the exit, around the outside of Druids. Not quite sure why, but either way, it gives you just a fraction more opportunity to get away with running deep into that corner, and both Luke Herbert and Chrissy Palmer finding some extra grip there. Now, Chrissy Palmer knows this circuit well, as Nat alluded to. Formula Ford champion a few years ago around here, and winning the festival is a pretty huge accolade. There is Paul Sheard in the white machine, looking to the outside of Adam Gore, who's dropped off the pace of the front 3. Sheard being forced to the very outside. It's a good line, though, that he's eventually taken, and just runs a fraction wider on the exit there, losing out a fraction, and therefore shouldn't be able to dive up the inside to Druids, which is really the main overtaking opportunity. Druids can also have a go at clearways, but Sheard looks a little bit more confident as the circuit's starting to dry out. Seems a little bit stronger under brakes. We've seen Paul Sheard being right up there, Anglesey taking 2 podium positions, but at the moment lying in 5th, and him and Gore have had a great battle all the way through the season. Interesting to see that we do have 20 Mk3s this weekend. Lovely to have such a good grid back. It's been a bit thin in some of the sort of flyaway races, the ones a long way away from home. Oop, as the number 17 machine takes to the glass, and that's Clint Bardwell having a wild old ride on the grass there. He was running well too, remember, qualified up in 6th position, so that'd be slightly disappointing. So down towards Graham Hill again. Sheard now ahead of Adam Gore and looking strong. As you can see, no rain falling. In fact, it looks as though we have sunny conditions at the moment. Big old slide through Surtees, gathers it all together. But I think he's significantly far back, not now to trouble those front three who are grouped together. Now we have some action. Luke Herbert in the blue machine, the white car of Chrissy Palmer, and just behind them Jordan Stilp, the man who took pole position, was faster in testing, was faster, or fastest even in qualifying, but made a bad start. Oh, what's happened there? Why was Luke Herbert waving? Oh, there's a lot of traffic to try and contend with. Hopefully the blue flags are helping. Luke's managed to get past 2 cars. Chrissy Palmer follows through with Jordan Stilp right on his bumper. They managed to, I think, just about get past both of them. The Boreham Motorsport machines of Raymond Morley and Melvin Hodgson. Very well prepared cars. They both enjoying their racing immensely. And look at that, Jordan Stilp takes advantage of the traffic and dives down the inside of James Maxfield, but more significantly down the inside of Chrissy Palmer, and has taken that position. Great driving, great opportunistic move there from Jordan Stilp. Now goes to the inside of one of our Spiders, one of our MX150Rs. And that was a lovely move from Stilp, but Chrissy Palmer has a little bit more momentum going through paddock, draws up to the very back bumper, and now Stilp has to dive down the inside of Stephen Andrew, who sort of half opens the door. It's one of those situations as a lead driver, you're just not quite sure whether he's actually giving you the room or not. Big slide from Jordan Stilp as he brakes into Graham Hill Bend. Looks like he slightly outbraked himself. Either way, gathered it up, and now focus will be very much on Luke Herbert. Remember, Herbert won all 3 races at Cadwell Park. Before then, had taken 1 victory at Snetterton and 1 victory at Silverstone. But that really pushed him up the championship table. And now, as we go into the middle part of this race, is very much on terms with Chrissy Palmer. Such a strong start to the season for Chrissy. 2 wins at Silverstone, a win at Snetterton, 3 wins at Anglesey, and that was it. Hasn't won since. And now lying once again in 3rd position. Now Jordan Stilp really got his season underway last time out at Cadwell Park, Castle Combe, sorry, let's get it right. 1 race at Snetterton that he won, but other than that, it's been winless, and then all of a sudden popped up with 3 wins at Castle Combe, and then the pole position here. There is the number 92 machine. Big old 4-wheel drift from Chrissy Palmer, looking fantastic in that Paul Sheard prepared car. Great car control, which is exactly what you need in these machines. They're not easy to get on the limit at all, and that is why the cream tends to rise to the top. Checkered flag out, and the win to race 1 going to Luke Herbert, just ahead of Jordan Stilp. Chrissy Palmer 3rd, Gore, Paul Sheard, Enon Price back in the 55 machine and 6th position. Again, a strong run for him. Chapman, Davis, Blardwell and Julian Taylor round out the top 10.
I just got let down a little bit through the whole race, really. Just should have just tried harder, I guess. It was a good race. Other than that, we were together all the way through. Good race.
It was just luck whoever got through, really. But I had a really, really bad start. Just started wheel spinning, and I had Chrissy and Luke come past me. Just had to just keep my head down and try and keep up, just getting wherever I could. So I was lucky with the back markers, really. But Luke done well, so well done to him.
It was just me, Chris and Jordan all the way. And then I think I was helped out a little bit by the back markers. I thought they were going to slow me down, but I managed to get through in Graham Hill, and then going into Clearways, Jordan and Chris just got held up, and as a result they swapped positions. I think I was helped out by all the back markers, but I reckon I could still won it.
Jordan still matching Luke on points after taking pole position and the fast lap of the race. Join us for race 2 after this. Welcome back to Brands Hatch, race 2 for the Mark 3s. And Luke Herbert on pole position thanks to his win in race 1, with Stilp, Palmer and Gore Sheard and Enon Price in 6th position. It should be, once again, a very exciting battle. Straight away, the cars are released, and a good start by the looks of things from Jordan Stilp. He's got the best start. A very good start from Enon Price as well, who starred, remember, in the wet at Snetterton. And it is much more wet than it was in race 1. Very, very significant rainfall between the two races, and a real deluge on circuit now. Very tricky conditions to be racing, especially on the tyres they have. Not really suited for monsoon conditions, and that's exactly the sort of conditions we have here. So Stilp is leading. He's that blue dot. He makes a little bit of an error going through Graham Hill. Oh, and I think Adam Gore's gone off. Yes, it is. Number 3 machine well off in the grass. He'll manage to recover from that. And Herbert has managed to go all the way around the outside of Stilp after that small error. Then it's Chrissy Palmer, then it's Paul Sheard in 4th position, those two white cars. I think Enon Price is then in 5th position. Oh dear, another of the Sheard machines having a bit of a spin. It's the 21 car of Simon Fleet. Over the start and finishing line goes Luke Herbert, and he's got a great lead. At the moment, looking very, very strong indeed. Difficult conditions. You can see the cameras can't see, so can you imagine what it's like if you're in the car? Filthy, filthy conditions to be racing in. Oh, we've got a car off in the background there, going into the gravel trap. Didn't quite catch who that was. Either way, hopefully you'll be able to get through. When it's wet like this, the gravel compacts quite a bit, and it's actually a lot easier to go through the gravel traps. Somewhere in there, oh dear, is a Mazda taking a long route. More cars spinning off as well. I think that was Will Chappell, if memory serves me right, heading off into the distance. And just about getting it sorted again. It is the number 9 machine. We've got 2 other cars going off behind them. Really very tricky conditions indeed. Oh, and Enon Price making a mistake as well, going through Surtees on the grass. He stayed to the inside line though, and I think that was going to yield him the position. David Chapman challenging him round the outside, keeping his foot in, keeping the momentum, and I think that will work for him. But just look at the spray coming off the back of these cars. This is not easy at all. Speeds of up to 70, 80 miles an hour. That's the second time we've seen Kevin Taylor taking to the grass. Oh dear, that looks like Julian Taylor in the gravel trap. We've got an onboard of Paul Sheard heading down towards Graham Hill Bend. It's just so treacherous. Oh, and Luke Herbert and Jordan Stilp both off at the bottom of the hill there. Just losing their braking points, and a big old tank slapper going on from Chrissy Palmer ahead. Chrissy's now in the lead of the race, and look, there's a red flag being thrown. Palmer ahead of Paul Sheard, and we've got yellow flags and red flags. Interesting. And that will be certainly because of the rain and all the cars in the gravel. A restart then. 1 lap back from when the red flag was shown, and therefore Stilp and Luke Herbert on the front row of the grid. Not a good start at all from Paul Sheard, who's dropped well into the clutches of the remaining competitors. All the way around the outside goes Jordan Stilp around Paddock Hill Bend to take the lead of the race once more. Now he starts to creep to the inside to defend the inside line from Luke Herbert. Herbert takes a more conventional line, cuts to the inside to try and get some grip. And I think, I've got a feeling that Enon Price there is in 3rd position. Another good start in wet conditions from Price. Big old power slide on the exit of Graham Hill Bend. We'll be able to confirm exactly who that is. I've just got a feeling it's either him or Clint Bardwell. There is the 18 car of Paul Sheard with his onboard camera, not in a position that he would normally like to be in. Sheard looks to the inside of Chrissy Palmer, who's certainly being held up somewhat. Over the line they go, and Jordan Stilp covers the inside line from Luke Herbert. You can see just a little bit of a puddle there, and Jordan just losing the rear end just fractionally in that puddle. A slight aquaplane, it was enough to put him offline, and Luke Herbert's going up the inside and he's going to take the lead of the race. There is a lot of grip around the outside. Keep at it, Jordan, because you just may well find that you can get a better drive down towards Graham Hill now, and indeed he does, but can he find a way through under braking? No. Luke Herbert controls the car on the entrance to the turn, a fraction of oversteer under power on the exit of the corner, and now through Surtees. Big old power slide from Jordan Stilt, the whole car moving sideways, just enough to keep it on the tarmac, on the racing line, and to keep the good momentum. And just look at the gap they've pulled over Chrissy Palmer and Jordan and Paul Sheard. Once again, I have a feeling that it's going to be Chrissy Palmer is going to drop down to a third position at least. So really struggling, Chrissy Palmer, over the last 6-7 rounds. As we look into the mid-pack. And that was Matthew Davis in the grey car we're having a quick look at. He's giving Enon Price some serious hassle as they go towards Graham Hill. And there is David Chapman trying to go around the outside of Will Chappell. Going now down towards Graham Hill Bend, braking a lot later than... well, that's Adam Gore, isn't it? Ahead of them. Big old slide as Gore helps Bardwell, I think that is, through the turn. Now goes to the outside. Tries to go all the way around the outside, and that has worked. Will he make it through the corner? Yes, he does. So, of course, remember, Adam Gore had that mistake on lap 1 of the first part of the race. It meant that he did gain some time on the red flag, but he's still got to make up all those places and do all the overtaking. And that's what he's managed to do. Past Bardwell, past Chappell, and past Chapman. Now, having a quick look at Julian Taylor fighting with one of our MX150Rs. And the leaders of our race. Luke Herbert seemingly in control once more over Jordan Stilt. And now we look further back at that battle. Chappell still trying to find a way past Clint Bardwell, and Chapman in attendance, ready to take advantage. Very different livery from Will Chappell than we were used to last year. Blue and yellow, interesting colours. And Chappell not quite as strong perhaps as he was last year. He was pretty much in the middle pack of the top 10, but not doing the full season in the Ma5da Racing Championship this year, and maybe just not quite as used to these tyres as some of the more regular runners are. Davis goes through Druids. A bit of an oversteer moment. And Chappell still trying to find a way past Bardwell. Clint Bardwell, another man that hasn't done a lot. In fact, this is his first rounds this year. Haven't seen him in the championship so far. And good qualifying session, but dropped it in race 1. And that meant he had to start way back at the start of this race. And this is a good little battle, but it's only yielding, well, the outskirts of the top 10 positions. Now Chappell finds a way past, got the car nicely set up, and finally deposes Bardwell of that position. Up into the top 10 then. We go back to the leaders of our race, and generally the Mark 3 races are extremely close and extremely fraught, but due to the fact that the rain has come down, we seem to have a little bit of a different form of things, and Luke Herbert is really rather dominating this one. Then it's Stilp, and then Palmer and Paul Sheard. sun, I think, starting to come out to try and dry this circuit. Round clearways they go. As you can see, it's quite a gradient there. It drops away and the car almost drifts towards the left-hand side. We go on board with Paul Sheard. Now we can actually see where we're going. And as will he. Turns through paddock. You can feel the car dropping away from you. A little bit of an oversteer moment. Has to run over the curb. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. And really closing up on third position just ahead of him. As yet, no way to find a way through past Chrissy Palmer. Palmer, of course, is part of the Paul Sheard team. Again, looks a little bit stronger through Graham Hill Bend. Luke Herbert, though, extremely strong in race one, although was matched by Jordan Stilt, but seems to have really dominated this particular race. Comes out of the slipstream and over the start and finishing line. The arm is extended out of the car, and Luke Herbert taking victory once again over Jordan Stilt. Palmer takes yet another third position. Sheard, Price, Davis, Adam Gore up to 7th by the end of that race. Bardwell and Chapman. I think Will Chappell must have made a mistake because he's dropped out of the top 10 after that good little battle.
You did sort of manage to get to pole position before the red flag. Did you think you were going to keep that?
Well, yeah. I didn't really know what the red flag was for a start, and I didn't see how two people could spin off on their own and then be allowed to put back in front of me. But obviously that's the rules and that's how it's got to be. So, but other than that, it was a good race.
Jordan, and a very exciting race for you. Again, talk me through it.
Yeah, it was a brilliant race. Just got ahead of Luke on the start. Didn't hold the lead for very long. Then it got red flagged due to, I think everyone was aquaplaning, and I ended up coming off with Luke. The restart wasn't too well. We both were kind of side by side through down the first corner, and then he just pulled more and more. I just tried to get my head down, try and keep up, but no, it was really, really hard race. But well done to Luke again. We're gonna have to stop him for the third one.
Luke, another win for you today. Did you cause a red flag?
I don't know really. If I did, I'm glad. But yes, it was just absolutely hammered it down at the start of the race, and then my screen fogged up. I couldn't see anything, and then I was trying to brake really early for Graham Hill, but it was such a big aquaplane that there was no way I could stop. Went straight off, and then I saw Jordan followed me, and then I was thinking Chris has got to do the same, and he didn't. So I'm thinking, well, that's going to affect my championship. But then he had the red flags come out, and I was so relieved. Rain stopped. And then just managed to take the win again in that race. But I'd like to say thank you to my sponsor SRC Recycling and the marshals for being here in the wet, and the support from all the family and friends that have come up, because it's my local track. So good weekend so far.
It's a good weekend. You've got to do the ball handling again.
Yeah.
Here we go. We just dip in there and pick out the ball for your reverse grid. Number 9. How do you feel about that?
9's all right. It takes the pressure off being on pole. It's a bit relaxing, but gives me more chance to get the 2 points for best improver. So that's good. Looking forward to it.
And that race coming up after this break. Race 3, the one that always provides the most excitement. Chapman and Bardwell will be on the front row of the grid. Adam Gore, a great opportunity to get a good result. Third, alongside Matthew Davis, Price, Sheard, Palmer, Stilp, Herbert. Kevin Taylor just missing out there and having to start in 10th position. Here we go then. Bardwell on the outside on the 17 machine. Chapman on the inside. He started on the front row before, but watch the fast starting machines coming from the back of the field, and Chrissy Palmer trying to go around the outside of, he's done 3 or 4 of them, and Chrissy Palmer is going to be up into, I think, 3rd position by the time he gets to the top of the hill. Maxwell is in the gravel in the background, and Bardwell leads the cars then through the hairpin, and Chrissy Palmer up to 2nd already. What a start from Chrissy. He's been followed though by Luke Herbert, who's in 3rd. Jordan Stilp, that is Jordan Stilp in 3rd position, not Luke Herbert, with the fluorescent mirrors. So it's Luke that's not made a good start. and he's got still some work to do. But Chrissy Palmer, 3 corners into the race and into the lead. Good stuff. That's what you need to do in these sort of reverse grid situations. Make your mark nice and quickly, nice and early, and get away. Oh, 3 cars off. And one of those, I think, was Paul Sheard. That is David Chapman, who started on the front row of the grid. And safety car has been deployed to retrieve those machines. Difficult to see what happened, of course, because we have the camera pointing the other direction. But either way, Chapman is going to be way down the field once they do recover that car out of the gravel. Not sure if it's too badly damaged. We've also got Maxwell's car in the gravel there at Paddock Hill Bend. So plenty of work for the marshals to get on and do. As you can see, there is Luke Herbert, who did not get a good start at all. Chrissy Palmer and Jordan Stilp way up through the field, but Luke Herbert just didn't get the same traction. Some serious work to do when we do get this safety car out of the way. Still very wet conditions here at Brands Hatch. Looks as though it may well have been drying for the first race of the day, and then we had that deluge. Really very tricky conditions. The Kumo tyres that they're on are not designed at all for wet conditions, really. They're designed for dry conditions, and they work very, very well and provide fantastic grip in dry conditions, but they're okay in this sort of stuff. But the torrential rain we had earlier on, just not good at all. And that's why you can see the drivers really working hard. Chrissy Palmer going through the hairpin behind the safety car. There is Herbert with Will Chappell just behind. Good opportunity to have a look further down the field. Not a good weekend for Chris Lord. We just saw him going through. So one of the men who really is in the, well, he's 6th in the championship actually, considering he's done all the rounds. And Chris is in that red machine, really not enjoying his Brands Hatch weekend whatsoever. No flags, safety car boards still going. Still plenty of work to get these Mazdas out the way. And all the while, Chrissy Palmer will be thinking how he can make the jump on Jordan Stilp. Luke Herbert took the lead of the championship after that second race. Over the line, the cars go. And we're slowly counting down the 15-minute race. Finally, David Chapman is out. Now, the question is, will he be able to restart again? I'm not quite sure if he will. Either way, with his recovery, it means we should be able to go racing anytime soon. And in fact, no, that's not racing. I was about to say we were back underway, but Chrissy Palmer controlling the field, Bardwell behind, and then Jordan Stilp. Stilp's 3rd in the championship still. And David Chapman doing his very best to get as much gravel out of the car before he gives it to the mechanics to do the rest of the work. But his day is done. We'll have lots of bits of gravel stuck in the brake discs and brake pads, and every time you touch the brake it will make an awful noise, as well as doing huge amounts of damage. So all the cars are now recovered. I think we will soon get a chance to go racing. Here's a replay of what happened. Really difficult to see because there 3 cars coming in, and on Price being one of them, I think Paul Sheard being another. Ooh, and David Chapman was far on the inside and got turned around by the other 2, I think. Either way, Price and Sheard got away with it. Sadly for David Chapman, he didn't. Either way, safety car was already out by the looks of those boards. Looked like they'd already thrown the safety car for Maxwell. So potentially it was down to one person slowing down and the other person not slowing down. However, the circuit is now clear, and I reckon we'll be going racing anytime soon. So join us after the break for the resumption of race 3 from Brands. Welcome back to Brands Hatch in Kent. The green flag is flying and Chrissy Palmer is back underway and racing here after a lengthy safety car period. He has made a huge start. Massive advantage. They're not even racing yet. Now they'll get the green flag over the start and finishing line, and Palmer has got a massive lead. Jordan still being absolutely swamped by the field behind him. Adam Gore trying to find a way past. They've both managed to get past Clint Bardwell, who's had a bad start. So Stilp up to second, but Gore looking down the inside for that position. Or is Gore having to defend? I think he's defending from Bardwell, who's going around the outside at Druids. That's not going to work. And there goes Luke Herbert cutting his way through. Up one position, looking to make it 2 positions as Taylor takes yet another spin in the 30 machine. Luke Herbert then down the inside of Clint Bardwell, and now up to 4th. So almost status quo at the front with Palmer leading. Stilp in second as Bardwell sneaks up the inside and has a quick go. And Jordan Stilp goes around the outside of Adam Gore and holds on to second position. Gore third, Herbert now up to 4th, and didn't look like Clint Bardwell managed to make that move stick. He was just sneaking his nose up the inside, just enough to unsettle Herbert, who is definitely thinking championship now. We've had a lot of the rounds already done. Look at the extra momentum he gets through Paddock Hill Bend, goes to the outside line. We know there's more grip there too, and I think Adam Gore will just struggle his way round Druids, and Herbert will just get a better drive. Dips a wheel onto the grass though, that's not going to help matters. But takes a more conventional racing line through Graham Hill, gets the overlap, he'll have the inside line for Surtees, and has that move worked? Yes, it has. Up to 3rd position for Luke Herbert. Adam Gore again showing that he's just not as comfortable in these Mark 3 machines as he is in the Mark 1 cars, just not getting his car working as well as our front contenders. But look, that white dot in the distance is Chrissy Palmer. All of that advantage from the restart. He just had it nailed. Luke Herbert, though, looking hugely strong again. Okay, didn't get a good initial getaway, unlike his 2 rivals, but on this particular restart, he's reeled them in. Again, look at the extra speed he gets through Paddock Hill Bend. Still has to go to the inside to defend. Herbert tries to go all the way around the outside. Is that going to work? Yes, it is. He's got more momentum. He just drove round the outside of Stilp. Herbert is the man to beat at the moment. Confidence, happiness, the car's working well. And now, head down, and he's setting about Chrissy Palmer. Herbert, the new championship leader, chasing down the old one. Still under attack again from Adam Gore, so Gore's found a bit of speed having followed Herbert, and now cuts to the inside but just can't get the power down. The back end stepping out and frustratingly sliding his way out of the turn. Clint Bardwell sticking nicely to them as well, and lots of work for poor Paul Sheard to do. Battle then for 3rd position. Jordan Stilp shining the lights, telling no one to get out of the way in front of him. Just runs a fraction wide for the best grip. Gives Adam Gore the sort of hope that he may well be able to get through, but then just more grip around the outside puts Stilp back into contention. There's Chris Lord, we were speaking about him earlier. Lord 6th in the championship, just behind Adam Gore, and battling in the championship with Matt Davis, the 91 machine. Down to Graham Hill. 61 car of Steve Andrew. And he's on the back of this group. Nice to see Melvin Hodgson up there this time, battling with Julian Taylor. beautifully prepared Bora Motorsport cars. He and his teammate Raymond Worley generally fighting with each other further back, and at the moment it's advantage Melvin because Morley is a couple of positions back, separated by Julian Taylor, the 88 machine. Over the start and finishing line they go. And this is the battle just outside the top 10 positions. Chris Lord at the moment holding on to that 10th spot. Ooh, and a little mistake. But there's a good gaggle of cars just behind this lot where we find the recovering Paul Sheard. Remember, had that big off, and the reason actually for the safety car period. Gore to the inside of Jordan Stilp again, but still not enough grip to actually drive down the inside. Not strong enough, and Stilp seems to be very comfortable on the wet racing line. So basically where the grip wouldn't be in dry conditions. Water mixing with the rubber that's laid down, creating a very oily, nasty tarmac to try and drive on. That's why you see these cars sort of going slightly off the racing line, even off the circuit at points, to have a bit more grip. Number 17, Clint Bardwell. First championship rounds for him this year, and pretty strong opening to his campaign, although only Rockingham and Croft to come in the championship now. Look at that. Adam Gore just looks all over his teammate. Jordan Stilp fighting for the championship. Adam Gore probably isn't really, just not collected enough points. Really only a three-way fight between Stilp, Palmer and Herbert. Yeah, Gore is really giving his teammate a hard time. Over the start and finishing line they go again. In the slipstream, Adam Gore. Stilp sits to the middle of the road, then lets the car drift out to the left, turns in late to get the power down early so you can drive all the way up here to the hairpin. Stilp protects the inside line, then runs a little bit deep. You know there's more grip there. And Gore cuts in, and this time Gore's got better drive. They go side by side, but it's going to be advantage Stilp as they get to the braking zone at Graham Hill Bend. Although, no, Gore goes around the outside. There's more grip there, of course there is. Gore back up into a position. He flashes his lights. Jordan Stilp not happy with that. No reason why they should help each other out, being teammates, not at all. But it's doesn't look like Jordan Stilp has got the pace in this one. So confident after qualifying. But Jordan struggling in race 3 now. Clint Bardwell trying to find a way past for 4th position. Now looking further back. And that is, I think, Paul Sheard. Chrissy Palmer then leading the race. Luke Herbert closing the gap quite significantly in comparison to the massive advantage that Chrissy Palmer started this race with after that mega restart. And Palmer now looking a little bit ragged through Surtees, and as you can see, the back end's trying to step out of his car. Maybe, just maybe, he's overcooked his tyres and they are not giving his best. Over the start and finishing line though, the checker flag is out and Palmer takes victory. Still battling on Jordan Stilp and Clint Bardwell, but I think Stilp is going to take that 4th position eventually. 3rd going to Adam Gore. There is Palmer back on the top step of the podium after an 8-race drought. Now further back, Paul Sheard recovering. Past one of the Bora Motorsport cars, up behind Kevin Taylor. And will he get Kevin Taylor by the line? Not quite. So Sheardy finishes his day down in 12th position. But there is Chrissy Palmer What a drive. 2 seconds was the gap eventually to Luke Herbert. Adam Gore picking up a podium in third. Stilp, Barwell, Davis, Enham Price, Will Chappell in 8th position, Lovett and Chris Lord rounding out the top 10, some 35 seconds down after that 15-minute race.
Luke, Chrissy had a really amazing restart there and you just couldn't catch him.
No, off the line for the first start, he had an amazing start. I think he was in the lead after one lap almost. I had a poor start, so I was sitting at the back still, sort of, well, not the back, sort of 8th, 9th. And then the worst thing can happen to me again, like at Castle Combe, the safety car come out. So yeah, it gives you time to think about how bad you made a start, and it's taking away time that I can progress to the front. But then we managed to change the tyres and put the wets on before the start of the race, whereas Jordan didn't, and a few of the others didn't. So we had the grip and the speed to be able to win. But with the safety car start Chris got, he shot off, I think about, it must have been about 10, 15, car lengths. It just made it harder for me, but I managed to get second in the fastest lap. So I think we've taken the lead of the championship this weekend. So that's what we come here to do, and that's what we're walking away with. So really pleased.
Chrissy, you had an amazing restart there after the safety car. That's definitely Formula Ford experience shining through there.
Oh, definitely. The festival helped all the way there. I mean, the restart was amazing. Got like a 4-second gap, I think, off the start, which definitely helped me win. The initial start was absolutely amazing as well. I think me and Jordan managed to pick off about 3-4 cars on the starts. It was an absolutely amazing race. Much more fun. Brilliant. This is
your first win in 6 races, I believe. So do you think you're going to win some more this season?
Well, I hope so. That was quite painful hearing that. Definitely. Well, we found out what was wrong with the car for the last few rounds. We fixed that, and it seems to be a lot quicker. Just got to get the setup back to where it was again now as well.
So let's have a look at the championship table then after this Brands Hatch rounds. Luke Herbert 2 points ahead now of Chrissy Palmer. Jordan Stilp dropping away 13 back with Paul Sheard and Adam Gore rounding out the top 5.
Well, sadly, that is it from the Mark3s here at Brands Hatch. Well done to Luke Herbert for taking the championship lead today. Let's see how it all pans out next round at Knock Hill.